Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Hanging with Hastings. And this will be season 3's grand finale. This has been one of my favorite seasons since we've been doing this. We've had shows on Elton John, Johnny Cash, John Mellencamp. Let's see, we did a show of our favorite movies. I had a Beatles show, had Rolling Stones recently, Great American Songwriters, the Beach Boys, just so many different shows. We did an unplugged show with the Hastings duo and a senior show that we did, a dance that we did. So it's been a great year. We've got quite a few new subscribers too, so that makes me happy. But we're going to finish off season 3 today, because the rest of the summer I have to take the rest of July and August off because my schedule is just crazy. But I wanted to finish with a special show. And first of all, welcome to Tommy Joyce here for our Two Dudes in the Basement. Yeah. And today, and before we start, if you give us a like and a subscribe, and hit that bell icon to make sure you get notified for any new videos. And I'll tell you, this is going to be a show where I would love to hear people comment below, because tell them what today's show is going to be.
We're going to attempt to identify our 5 favorite songs.
Yeah, not albums.
Of all time.
Songs.
Really challenging, obviously, when you think, Tommy and I love music so much, and we have literally thousands of songs that we love to
so
listen
many
to.
songs. So many.
So we tried to challenge ourselves to narrow it down to just 5 songs each.
It was the hardest one. I had a couple sleepless nights.
Yeah.
But I got my list together 4 days ago, and I kept trying to see if I was going to change it up, and it stayed solid. So my 5 are my 5. So, how did you pick yours before we get going?
I started thinking about the songs that have meant the most to me over the years, songs I gravitate towards playing over and over again, whether it's the CDs or Alexa, or when I go to see a band, and if a band plays any of the songs, I get excited because they mean a lot to me, and they touch me, and
right.
And there's a lot of songs that do that. But I finally came to the list of these 5 is my favorite songs ever.
Yeah, I kind of went for my history of what songs formed me,
right,
and my love of music. And a couple of them, or at least one of them, isn't really a song that I listen to per se anymore, like go out and listen to, or even own anymore. But it was very important in my history. So. With that said, we're going to dive into it. Like, as I said, leave a comment. Let us know what you think your favorite songs of all time are.
I'd love to see that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And it would help the channel out, too. Every time people not only liking it, but leave a comment, it helps us out. So feel free. We would love it. So with that said, Tommy, give me your number 5.
All right, my number 5 favorite song of all time is he's kind of an obscure singer-songwriter from Minnesota. His name's Robert Zimmerman.
Yeah. Isn't he related to that Dylan guy?
I think he is. But it's a song, not one of his more well-known songs, but it's a song that I've always loved, and it's called "I Shall Be Released."
Oh,
it's a great song, and on the surface,
one of my favorites.
It's a simple song. It's Bob and his guitar, and ostensibly, again, it's about
the foot tapping.
You're right, exactly. It's about a prisoner, right? Looking forward to the someday when he'll be released, either through, release through the gates or release, through death. And it's got some great lyrics in there. It's, I see my reflection rising above the walls, and I think that everyone can relate to that because we all know that someday we're going to be released. Someday your journey's going to come to an end. And as much as, we love our lives, and I know Tommy and I, we love our lives, we love the people in them, we love our experiences, but there comes a time when you do feel
the release.
This is a lot. Living can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone, if you have faith, you look forward to that day when all that worry and all that, tragedy and loss, it's going to come to an end, and you're going to find yourself released into a better place. And I think that this song, holds that promise for that. And I do, Bob gets a lot of criticism for his voice, maybe sometimes deservedly so, but
especially nowadays. But that's
right.
What a great vocal performance.
His vocal performance in this song is among, I believe, the best of his career.
I would put that with Blind Willie Mattel, which was on one of his bootleg.
Right.
Is maybe one of his finest vocal
right
performances. That song, like every other great song, can have multiple meanings to
Right.
to whoever
Yep.
to the listener, whoever's listening. Like you said, it was about a prisoner, but it can be about inner demons in a person,
Right.
and maybe not even about death, but being released from those inner demons and
Right.
finding some kind of redemption. So,
Yep.
man, great pick, dude. Number 5, we're off and running. My number 5 is going to be now to describe this song. When I was growing up, when I was a little boy, my music was basically my parents' music.
Right.
And then it would be my brother and my sister's music. My sister was 8 years older than me. My brother was 6 years older than me. So they were my original heroes. So whatever they listened to, I would listen to. And as years went on, I had my heroes and everything. But by 1981, I was thinking about, I wanted something new. And I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Joey Bacon. And Joey asked me if I ever heard of Springsteen. And really, at that point, the only experience I had with Springsteen was I had heard Hungry Heart on the radio. I had heard Every Christmas Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I knew he wrote, because I bought the Manfred Mann album, I knew he wrote Blinded by the Light. But back in the mid-'70s, he had the beard, and I kind of thought he was like Cat Stevens or Gordon Lightfoot or something. I just didn't get it, And Joey said to me, he goes, I'm going to make you a mixtape kind of the best of Springsteen. And listen to it. I'll give you like a 90-minute tape cassette, and let me know what you think. And so I'm going through this. I start playing it, and I hear Jungle Land and Born to Run, and really, first time I probably ever heard Born to Run. And, here's some other songs. And then I come upon the song that changed my life and made me not just a fan of Springsteen, but a disciple, I guess. And that would be The River. My number 5 song is The River. Not only that, later on, as I said, this is like late 1981, so I'm 17 years old. A couple years later, I would be living that song with my first wife. And, the experience, I knew the blue-collar experience through my dad and my early jobs that I had. But it was the lyrics that I had never heard anything like this before. And the vocal performance. Again, you talk about Dylan. Sometimes people give Springsteen slack over his voice, but it was his voice and it was the words that he was saying in the song that just haunted me.
Yeah.
When
he's going to be the term that I was. It's haunting.
When he's singing, and he says the line, he's talking about with his girl and getting a job. She gets pregnant and having to get a job, and then he loses his job, and their life is a mess. And there's the line where he says, she acts like she doesn't, or I act like I don't remember. Mary acts like she don't care. Yeah. And then the drums hit, and he says, but I do remember. Yeah. And he talks about it, and you can feel it well up and the power of the and when he sings the line, those memories come back to haunt me like a curse. Is it dream a lie if it don't come true, or is it something worse? The hairs just stood up. The first time, I'll never forget the first time hearing that, and the hairs just stood up all over my arms and the back of my neck, and I just never heard anything quite like this before, and I became a lifelong fan, which I still am to this day. And I do a lot of Springsteen songs in our shows. I don't do that song because it's just so haunting to me, and I don't think I could do it justice.
It's when that song starts, you get a rush of feeling. It's such a powerful song in every way. The vocal performance, as you said, the music, the lyrics, it's just brilliant music.
Well, I just, it was, I listened to Dylan and that, but my main guys were like Elton John and Kiss. And I love Bernie Taupin's lyrics and that too. But, Kiss was just goofy stuff. Yeah. And by 1981, I was looking for, I guess, something more mature.
Yeah.
And I was changing as a person. And it changed not only the music that I listened to, but the way I started writing songs. And that, I said, well, man, I got to try to write something like that. You know what I mean? And not just boy, girl.
I've always maintained that Springsteen is the most underrated songwriter in American history.
One of the best, and that's what it changed my life. It made me a lifelong fan, and it just changed my whole view on music. So number 5, The River for me. Number 4,
great song. My next song is also by that obscure Minnesota songwriter.
You got 2, Dylan?
But it's a song that was made most famous by other bands, most notably The Band, and then I've heard it numerous times by the Grateful Dead. It's been a part of their repertoire for decades. And it's called When I Paint My Masterpiece.
Oh, The Band.
Yeah. Bob Dylan, it's a fantastic song. If my first song was about salvation, this song is about redemption.
Right.
And it's just a man going through life waiting for that moment of redemption. I think everyone can relate to that, right?
Someday things are going to get better.
Someday I'm going to get there. That's someday everything's going to going to be different.
Right.
Paint my masterpiece. It keeps us going. The trials and tribulations of life can pile up. But it's that idea that someday I'm going to get there.
You're going to do it.
I'm going to get there.
Paint that masterpiece.
That's right. And, if for a songwriter, it might be writing the perfect song. For someone, it might getting the perfect career, finding the perfect love, having a baby.
Finding that peace of mind.
Right. It's what keeps us going. And I love the lyrics. Some of it's that absurdist lyrics, chasing wild geese and on a hillside. But, sometimes life is absurd. Sometimes we just have to sit back and laugh. How did I get here?
Yeah.
How did these situations become around me? And so I think that absurdist part of the lyrics conveys that idea that life is sometimes a really crazy journey. But there's that point where everything's gonna fall into place, and it's gonna be that moment or that time of your redemption.
Well, Dylan, it's no secret he's one of the greatest lyricists of all time. So, wow, When I Paint My Masterpiece, number 4. All right, I love it. Now, my number 4 now is going to be something that is probably going to shake you on this one. Like, what? But as I said, I was going through these lists and going through the songs that changed my life. Now, this is going to be a story that I would tell when we play senior homes, and that I tell this story to the people all the time, and it's 100% true. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, my parents, we would watch the variety shows that they had on back then. They had a Johnny Cash show, they had Perry Como show, Carol Burnett, and they had the Tom Jones show. And I saw Tom Jones, and my name's Tom. And so I'm watching him like, wow, that guy is so cool. He's got women throwing underwear at him, and I'm like, I want that. Yeah. Even at 5 years old, I'm like, I want underwear thrown at me. And we were in, I believe it was Loblaws. It was a supermarket, but I was in with my father, and they had a little record stand that they were selling records for like $1. The ones, remember the records that had the corners cut out and stuff. And there was Tom Jones Fever Zone for $1. Most kids would ask at 5 years old, ask for a wiffle bat or something. Yeah. And I was like, please, Dad, buy me Tom Jones Fever Zone. And begging him, and probably out of embarrassment, he finally said yes. And I used to share a record player with my brother in our bedroom. And I played the very first track as my number 4 song, because it was the very first song that I ever learned every word to, and I would sing it with full blast, and it was probably with the lyrics, not a song a 4 or 5 year old should be singing, but this is Delilah by Tom Jones, my first song, and the moment that I realized I had to be an entertainer, I had to be a singer, was because of Tom Jones and Delilah. So it's not a record that I own now, but when I was going through all the history of music, if it wasn't for Delilah, I probably wouldn't be doing any of this and playing music today.
I remember watching Tom Jones on television when I was a kid, and
he had a hell of a voice.
Thinking that he was about the coolest thing that I had ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've been a Tom Jones fan throughout my entire life. I believe he's still going strong. But
he's in his 80s and he's still playing. And to end that story, I do get underwear thrown at me now, but it's usually diapers because I'm in love.
Just doesn't have the same.
It doesn't.
Effect, yeah.
When you're 90 and you're throwing the diapers at me. No.
But Tom Jones, I love it. I love Tom Jones. My favorite Tom Jones song is it's not unusual, but
Yeah, well, I one time I suffered from Tom Jones deliria, and it was true. I couldn't stop singing Delilah, and I actually went to a doctor about it, and he said I have Tom Jones fever, and. And I said, Tom Jones fever, is that normal? And the doctor said, well, it's not unusual.
And
the worst joke ever.
Elvis was a huge fan of Tom Jones.
Well, they were rivals, I think, for the Vegas show, and he
Elvis
changed his career.
He thought that Tom Jones was really a great performer, and I agree.
You could hear Elvis's voice kind of change, trying to get that opera,
Right.
that the way Tom Jones sang.
Yeah.
So there you go, number 4, Delilah. Number 3.
Number 3 is a song not by Bob Dylan,
Ooh.
but it's a performer that Bob Dylan affectionately referred to as the Belfast Cowboy. It's a song that I had the pleasure of seeing you before you do a fantastic version of it.
Oh.
And it's Van Morrison's Into the Mystic.
Into the Mystic. Beautiful.
It's an absolutely beautiful song, and it's a metaphor for life's journey. Again, it's the sailor sailing out to sea, and and I think that that's life.
And it's not brandy.
Right. we start off life, and we set off for sailing. We go off,
right.
And it's an amazing journey, and I think sometimes we get caught up in the everyday world and these circumstances and the needs and responsibilities of the world. We lose sight of the amazing things around us, our relationships with other people and the circumstances that we find ourselves in, the experience that we have. In Van saying, this is your journey. We're sailing off to see where we're going to end up.
Right.
And oftentimes we end up places that we didn't originally think we would land in. And I think ultimately the final journey is into the ultimate mystic.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful song.
Power, yeah.
Very powerful song. As
I love singing it.
You do a great job with it. And it gives me, like these other songs in this list, maybe more than any of the rest of them, it literally gives me chills when it begins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful song. And it's a fun song to sing. And you can't go wrong with Van Morrison.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3. I wanted to have a song in this list that was from one of the great bands or the great songwriters. Dylan, the Beatles, the Who, the Stones. I was thinking about all of them, and I was going through like about 10 different songs. Bob O'Reilly, Like a Rolling Stone, all these different songs. Can't Always Get What You Want. I was thinking, but I finally came to my number 3 song. I'll get through this one really fast. It's the Beatles, Hey Jude. I remember hearing it for the first time on the Midnight Special. They were doing a Beatles tribute. And when I first heard the song, I just knew, and I was a little kid too, when the first time I heard it. And I remember taping it. I used to tape the music from the Midnight Special and Don Kirshner's rock concert. I used to tape them on my little tape recorder. And listen to them over again. And I knew, even as a little kid, that there was something special about this song, that it was an instant classic, just with the words that he was saying, the way he was singing the song, and then the na-na-na part at the end. I just knew, well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime song. And then when I found out that the lyrics were about Julian Lennon and John kind of abandoning him, right. And it was Paul McCartney's way of saying everything's going to be all right. When I heard that, then I thought the song was even cooler. Another song I love to sing myself personally, but I think it's maybe Paul McCartney's ranks as one of his best vocal performances, and just a great song. Incredible. So number 3, Hey Jude, the Beatles. Yeah. The Beatles made my list.
Incredible song, obviously. Number 2 for me is a song by an American-Canadian band known as The Band, and it's a song that is pretty familiar, maybe the most famous song, and it's called The Weight.
Oh yeah.
And The Weight is for me such a powerful statement, because it's again another song about a journey, and this man's journey.
Yeah, your songs are all pretty much got that, take a load off.
This man's journey to just find that elusive peace of mind. and he's just looking for a place, as he says, where he can lay his head, right? And he keeps encountering people who make that difficult for him, and I think that's something we all experience in life. I think that life is carrying weight. Either weight we put on ourselves or weight other people put on us. And I believe that the secret to life is learning how to carry that weight. And the people who succeed in life, succeed meaning end up joyful and with gratitude, are the people who learn how to carry the weight.
Right.
And I think that song really, it's just a great idea of how, you're trying to get through, and you're trying to get to that point. He's trying to get home, to Miss Fanny. He's trying to get home to that place where he's gonna finally be able to rest.
Yeah.
And and along the way, he just encounters difficulties. I think everybody can relate to again having to carry a weight. And I just want to mention Levon Helms. His vocal performance is incredible. I think he's the
don't sing. Remember, we had to talk about for our '70s show.
Yeah.
About the auto tune of today and that, and a lot of these songs that we're mentioning, these were the real deal, man.
Right. Yeah.
There wasn't auto tune. These were real singers singing about real stuff. So.
And you can tell he's lived that song.
Right.
Yeah. In my opinion,
I think every song we've mentioned, you can tell that they've lived it.
Exactly. He's criminally underrated as a vocalist, and especially in this song where he's bearing it, and he's saying, "Listen, although Robbie Robertson wrote the song, Levon is saying, man, I'm living this right now."
Well, when I say that all the songs that we've picked, that they're like living them, I'm sure Tom Jones didn't murder any women.
But we don't know.
We don't know. And anybody that watches this video, if you could maybe, it's obvious from Tommy's choices that he's got a burden. So if you want to leave a comment about to help poor Tommy out. No, great song, brother. My number two, it's going to be surprising. Elton's my favorite. I bet you thought that Elton was going to be my number one. Yeah. He is not. But my number two is an Elton John song, and knowing what Elton means to me as a songwriter, a performer, everything, inspiration, how do you pick one song? Yeah. You had a couple Dylan songs there, and then even you had the band with Dylan, who was big with Dylan that too. So how am I supposed to pick? I love Your Song. I love Crocodile Rock, Daniel, Bitches Back, Philadelphia Freedom. All these songs are coming flooding, to me. And then how do I pick? Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. But what I'm the way I came out with this song is my favorite Elton John song, and my number two song of all time was the raw rock and roll feeling, and what it does to me every time I hear a great rock song, what it does inside my chest and what it does inside my heart, and the fire that it brings into me. And this song has maybe one of the greatest guitar riffs ever written. It's up there with Smoke on the Water or Carry On Wayward Son or some of the Day Tripper by the Beatles. One of the greatest riffs of all time, and I'm talking about Goodbye Old Brick Road's Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Elton's greatest rock song, and that riff, that dun-dun-dun, it says Saturday, and it Saturday, it's like that. It reminds me in a way of Superman's theme from the Christopher Reeve Superman. I remember the director saying, Richard Donner saying, the music when John Williams' score came up, and it was like dun dun dun, and it said Superman, and this one Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting does the same thing with Saturday. It's like the great rock anthem of drinking beer, chasing a woman, and fight and the rebellion. So it spoke everything to me. So my number two is Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting, Elton John, and here we are at number one. I can't believe it. You remember when we kind of made a joke about doing this, and now we did it?
My number one is a song that tops or near the top of a lot of these charts. Mojo. If you're in Mojo.com, they do lists. This was in 2000 voted the best song of the 20th century. It's a song by the Beatles.
I knew the Beatles were going to be in number one.
There's always been some controversy over who wrote what. The lyrics,
especially the later ones.
the lyrics are attributed to John, but there's some discrepancy about who came up with the music. But it's a great song, and it's a song that I think when a lot of people hear it, they just instantly go into a time warp. And it's a song called "In My Life."
Oh, great song.
Just a beautiful ballad by John Lennon, and
yeah, I always thought of that as more of a John song.
Yeah, and as soon as that song starts off, there are places I remember all my life. The song has changed. I know that everybody who hears that song, the memories, images come flooding back.
Every single one of your songs is somewhat about redemption or that journey.
There's that idea of they say music is a time machine. I think this song is a perfect example of that. And he's just saying, life has been full of changes, and it's been full of people and experience I look back on with great love. But I'm also going to keep myself in the present. I still love you the most, meaning that I'm still, although I cherish the memories of the past, I still, I'm grateful for holding on to what I have now.
No, it's a great song.
It's a beautiful song. The interesting point, the kind of the famous keyboard solo is by George Martin.
Is it?
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah. I could see that. That song almost, to me, reminds me almost of death, like you're facing your final moments, and in my life, I love them all, and all that. So, great song. All right, number one for me is going to be a song. I mentioned how my music was originally formed through my parents and then my brother and sister. This song here was the song where I finally kicked open the door, and now it was about me. And it was my awakening song. And again, it came from the Midnight Special, the first time I ever heard it. And Chuck Berry walked out on stage with this big red guitar. And the moment I heard the opening riff to my number one song, Johnny Be Good, something happened. As I mentioned in Saturday Night All Right for Fighting, something awakened in my soul, in my chest, in my heart, and in my brain that just said, I want to be a rocker. And when I heard that, and I was just like, what is this? This isn't Engelbert Humperdinck. This isn't Tom Jones. I didn't want to be Tom Jones anymore. I wanted to be that guy. Yeah. And then when he duck walked, I was like, holy crap, that's it. And it changed my life forever. Forever. Now I wanted to be a rock and roller. And it was a song that I played in my very first band, my very first show, 43 years ago. And it's a song that I played last night. I have always played this song somewhere in my sets, in my dances and the rock shows that we do, everything that we do, even the senior shows for the homes. I do Johnny Be Good. And here's a song I've probably played 5,000 times, at least, in my life. And I'm still not bored with it. Yeah. I still, when I hear that opening guitar riff, I still freak out, and I still get that feeling as a kid that I had, and it sets me alive. And that, my friends, is what music to me is. It's about feeling alive, and it's about having that feeling, that hair standing up in the back of your neck and on your arms, and it's just you are alive. Music is life, and that's it.
I was fortunate enough to see him perform that song live at Melody Fair. It was a great experience. And he did the duck walk. It was a great experience. The Great American Rock and Roll song, no question about it. I also have seen, the Grateful Dead perform it several times live, because it is a song, I think, that if you're an American,
it's rock and roll. It is what rock and roll.
Right, exactly, absolutely.
Without that song, there is no, name any, but there is no Beatles. There is no Rolling Stone. Right. There is, that was it. That was the beginning, really. And it was something he wrote it, not like Elvis or anything. So hit that and we'll say goodbye. And,
Alexa, stop.
We what this show was all about is the importance of music, really. Right. And it could be anything. There's so many great songs, so many great things, and as I said before, please leave a comment about what you think your favorite songs are. We love to hear it. music is so important, and I'll say this: when we do, I've played shows for dementia patients who can't remember who you are. My mother had dementia and didn't know who I was, and I would go and sing songs to her, and she would come back to life. She would know the words to the songs, and she would know me. I see it almost every day when we go to these senior homes with people with dementia. I see something in their eye. There's like a light bulb that's off, and all of a sudden they hear a song that they know, and the lights come back on,
Yeah.
and they begin to live again. Everybody has a favorite song. Everybody has a special memory from a song, and that's what makes music so important. So, Tommy, any last?
Yeah,
words
you know, I
about it?
was born, you know, like you, immersed in music. My dad was a musician, played multiple instruments. He was always playing something around the house. My mother, you know, sang as she did laundry daily, you know, and my brothers
My mom
were always,
too.
my brothers were always down in this basement. You know, I was raised listening. One of my first memories of my life is when my brothers brought home Sergeant Pepper's.
Yeah.
I was 3.5 years old. It's one of my oldest memories. So, yeah, music has been such a crucial, important part of my life. Many of my greatest memories involving my children also is listening to music with them at various times over the years. But it's hard to find something in life that has had a bigger impact, and I know in both of our lives than what music
Well,
has.
to me, there's greatest moments with my family,
Right.
the greatest moments with my friends, the greatest moments with my wife. Or it's all my children.
Right.
It's all been revolved around music. There's
Yep.
been something, whether it's me singing a song to my daughter when she was a baby,
Yep.
putting her to sleep, or whether it's seeing my mom dancing in the living room, singing to her stuff, or whether it's being on stage in front of people, watching them dance and getting into something, or or if it's sometimes even when I'm alone practicing and you just feel something, doing these shows,
Right.
being able to experience it with a good friend and to talk about music. It's life.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap up this episode, and it's also going to wrap up season 3 of Hanging with Hastings. As I said, this has been, I think, my favorite season so far. Here's the shows, like I said, the Elton John. We did Jim Croce. I did Jim Croce show. It was the last show I did at my old place, and then I moved to the new place and started doing shows there with Johnny Cash, the Beatles, the Beach Boys. I'm missing some, John Mellencamp, the Stones, the great American songwriters, the great music of the 70s. And a couple Hastings dual things, and I think I'm missing someone else that I did too. I know I did. This is the 15th episode, and they've been my favorites so far. I've enjoyed it.
And you know what's coming up in September? Back to
Yes, it's going to be Buffalo Bills as we come back in September. A lot of the shows are going to focus on but I'll do some music stuff, and Tommy and I have talked. We have to do a Halloween show, but a great focus is probably going to be about. The Buffalo Bills are going to win Super Bowl this year. So, but this is going to be the last season at, you want to call it Rich Stadium, the Ralph, Highmark. I saw my very first concert there, Elton John, 1976. I mean, I've had so many great memories, and I'm going to document being in that stadium, and hopefully you'll be able to do every show with me. As we talk about the Bills winning their first Super Bowl in their last year at the Ralph at Highmark.
Poetic.
And I got to tell you something real quick as we say goodbye. I was playing a show on Sunday, and somebody told me the tickets are coming down and they're more affordable for the new place, and so I might get tickets. I'm talking to my wife, and I'm begging her. I said, I'll do 5 shows a week. Yeah. I'll cancel vacations. I want to give me 1 season in a new place. We'll see what happens. But we will start in September with the Buffalo Bills and some more music and a Halloween special. And I'm sure we'll talk. It'll go all through Christmas and all that. So it's going to be a great season 4. But thank you for watching. Again, give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. And thank you for all the support you've given us. Thank you, Tom, for doing this with me and having me in your house. And Two Dudes in the Basement couldn't be complete without you. So thank you very much. All right, brother.
All right.
So until we see each other next time, have a great rest of your summer, and we'll see you in September for the Buffalo Bills. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
We'll see you soon, guys. Thanks.